What are the things that make an exercise controversial? Risk of injury has to be considered, as well as whether it's genuinely an effective exercise to build muscle. Old school lifters were often ahead of the curve when finding the best ways to grow. So today we'll look at 4 different exercises you should consider adding to your program. I've been doing Steve Reeves' Mr. America workout, and it has behind the neck pull downs, or alternatively, you could do a behind the neck pull up. I opted for the lat pull downs as I couldn't comfortably do a pull up behind my neck. It definitely feels different in my lats than a front pull down, and for this reason, it's worth occasionally adding into my personal program. However, it's not one I'd prescribe to a client. It's controversial because you have to ask yourself, what is the risk to reward? Or do you have the body mechanics to do the movement properly? The way I do it at home is different than in a gym, as I have my back to the cable. In the gym, the cable is directly overhead. If you need to shove your head way forward to let the bar pass, you may not have the mobility to do this exercise, and a front lat pull down would be the better option. I do move my head forward some, but it doesn't feel awkward or uncomfortable. A study compared behind the neck to front and VBar pull down. I don't think too many gyms have a V-bar, but what they found was the EMG activation was the same in the lats for all 3 movements. That doesn't mean there weren't any advantages, as there was more rear delt activation with the behind the neck. This study found no strong evidence of a relationship between behind the neck lat pull down and shoulder injury, but it does ask the question, with no sport or daily life activities that match up to the movement pattern of a behind the neck pull down, why do one? And the answer to that, I'll leave up to you. Next is the YGrip Pullup, and specifically the way Franco Columbu did them. These days I prefer mine weighted with a hand grip just outside of shoulder width, and I pull relatively straight up. This provides a greater range of motion than a YGrip Pullup. Franco didn't believe we needed to use weight, just a wider grip. And something he did that's unique is how he arched his back with his chest up and pulled the bar past his chin to his chest. When I pull up like this, as opposed to keeping my torso straight, I feel more of a contraction in the lats at the top position. The only controversy with this is which is better, the heavy weighted pull-up with a shoulder width grip or a wide grip using only body weight. Or is there another variation that's superior to both of these? My take on this is there's room for both in a program, and you can rotate out one for the other to provide variety and a fresh stimulus. I wouldn't underestimate the value of using body weight, as it's quite challenging, especially when you try to squeeze and hold the lats together at the top. Dumbbell pullovers, are they a lat exercise or a chest exercise? Do they expand our rib cage? That's how it was initially used, as part of a breathing exercise to expand our rib cage. If that's your goal, then you're wasting your time. Our rib cage, or rib box as they used to call it, is fixed in size once we're adults. But it does in fact work both our back and chest. So people may have felt it increased the rib cage as their chest measurement would have gone up with the muscle growth. Old school guys did this exercise diagonally to the bench instead of lying on top of it parallel, with their hips down as a counterbalance to create a better stretch in the lats. This is another exercise that if you lack shoulder mobility, you may not be able to do. For me, it takes a set to warm up before I can get a full stretch. Personally, I've always felt it more in my lats, which is why I made it part of my back workout. Where do you feel it most? Lats or chest? Dorian Yates used a lat pullover machine in the training video Blood and Guts. The advantage of this piece of equipment is you can work the lats through a full range of motion, as opposed to using a dumbbell where the resistance ends as you raise it overhead. Dorian isn't exactly old school, but we're over 15 years past his prime, and the row variation named after him is worth a closer look. The Yates Row is more than just a reverse grip bent over row, as you have a more upright stance. With a bent over row, you try and keep your back as parallel as possible to the floor, which puts a greater load on the lats and erector spinae. The Yates Row is done with your back at about a 45-degree angle, which allows you to use a lot more weight and puts a greater emphasis on the upper back, including the traps. One of the benefits is there's less strain on the lower back. Dorian's row has a shorter range of motion, and because of this, I would use a bent over row, either reverse or neutral grip, as my primary horizontal back builder. The Yates Row is an excellent exercise if you're looking for a new way to hit the mid and upper back, adding additional thickness, or you want to keep working out heavy while giving your low back a break. Even though the exercise was named after Dorian, We know he didn't use it every workout, as he doesn't feature it in his blood and guts video, opting for a more traditional row instead. The upright stance would encourage more bicep involvement, and it's certainly not the best way to work them. To find the best old school bicep exercises that you should be doing, watch this video next and keep working out while having fun. This is Lawrence from Fit and 50. We'll talk to you again in the next one.